We're going to have a fun and creative and potentially dramatic Halloween because the trickster Mercury is going to make a kind-hearted trine to spiritual, creative Neptune, planet of masks and costumes and disguises. Love that. And Mercury is going to oppose wacky, surprising Uranus. Okay, so Uranus and Neptune are getting close to lining up in a sextile, and Mercury is going to boop, boop, hit both planets in that approaching aspect that's coming soon. What does this mean? Truth bombs may fall into your team or your friend group or into your life in some other way. But not all of the gossip that you hear will be true. However, there may be some tricks in your treat bag because Firestarter Mars is going to poke at volcanic and transformative Pluto, opening the door to important actions, decisions, and steps towards healing. It's a perfect time to blow through whatever's holding you back. And this is most safely done on the inner planes rather than in the outer world. So steer clear of dangerous people and unknown places because this energy is potentially volatile and dangerous. Mars opposite Pluto. In your work and in your personal life, think things through before you decide. We want to avoid making hasty decisions, but do take note of the things happening around you, the energies, the information that's around you, because although some of it is not true, some of it is true, or some of it is useful to you. Your ancestors and beloveds on the other side might be willing to help if you are open to a message from them. So keep your dream journal handy, and if you do a dumb supper or an ancestor's altar, this is an especially good thing to do this year around the Halloween holiday. So let's review the astrology of the new moon on November 1st, on this Friday. All right, here's the new moon. Moon conjunct sun. That's what a new moon is. This new moon kicks off a 30-day opportunity, the whole lunar cycle, when you can settle into something lasting and meaningful as the moon comes through in a harmonious trine to stabilizing Saturn. Yay. Lean into this energy by getting serious. Commit to your long-term goals and use these days around the new moon to take tangible steps towards them. But this isn't just about checking items off of your to-do list. It's equally important with so much going on in water signs, including Saturn in Pisces. It's equally important to do the emotional work now. Mars is the ruling planet of this new moon, and Mars is finishing up his journey through sensitive Cancer, this leg of it, because Mars will come back as he retrogrades and revisit Cancer again in the near future. But Mars for now is finishing up his journey through sensitive Cancer and forming a grand trine with Neptune and Mercury, also finishing up their journeys through Pisces and Scorpio. So we've got a grand trine at the end of signs, which is great for clearing away the past, for cleaning, cleansing, and making space. This is going to amplify the flow of emotional undercurrents, whether you're fully aware and tuned into them or not. Mars is also facing off with Pluto, which is Scorpio's other ruling planet, in an opposition with both planets at the end of their respective signs. This is a powerful lineup that shows us that the time is right to dig deep and let go of long-standing burdens. Mars and Pluto are the ruling planets of this new moon, so this lunar cycle will be in large part about confronting deeper truths about yourself and your own hidden motivations, as well as truths about other people. If you've been carrying a heavy emotional load or working through deep issues over the last few years, or slogging through a long, protracted battle or struggle or conflict, You're nearing the finish line. Think of it like the final clean out before a big move. You're loading up the clutter to go donate it. You're loading your final boxes in the car. And you're doing that last deep clean before you turn in the keys and step fully into your new chapter. So hang in there and keep digging deep because you're almost free. Key themes for this lunar cycle are emotional clearing, okay, with so much energy in water signs and so much energy at the endings of the signs. This lunar cycle is going to be about releasing emotional baggage. This often means clearing out the physical closets too. So what can you finally let go of? What can you finally let go of within and without? Mars opposite Pluto means that it could get dramatic sometime during this lunar cycle. Power struggles, manipulations, toxins, or secrets may surface, pushing you through doors of opportunity in ways that can feel abrupt and overwhelming, but are ultimately a positive thing for you most likely. But remember, Pluto's influence isn't just destructive, it's transformative. There's no death without a rebirth. If you've been avoiding change, this cycle may force you to confront a truth you've been ignoring. We've also got a kite formation in the chart of this new moon. That's a grand trine with a opposition to one of the points in a grand trine. It looks like a big arrow or a kite in the chart itself. This brings an element of chaos to this new moon. There's an unpredictableness to it, especially around issues of credit, finances, and privacy. Pluto also rules topics like secrets, matters of life and death, and trauma, and also healing and transforming past trauma too. Taking your power back from some time in your life when it was lost. Dive in if you feel called, but don't push past your comfort. Handle anything related to money, personal data, and plumbing with caution during this period. This lunar cycle represents an important step in the emotional cleanup before stepping into a fresh chapter in 2025. In 2025, all three of the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and Saturn, are all going to change signs. So we are on three different major levels going to be stepping into new chapters in 2025. So while things may get intense as this lunar cycle unfolds, it's a necessary step towards the profound changes ahead. Everything shifts as we move through 2025. So keep the faith and embrace one of these few final precious opportunities to lighten your load. Yes, new moon. We love that new moon. It's super dynamic. When we get to the weekend, you may have noticed on the forecast there is a ridiculous amount of dots on the weekend, and that's because a lot of different things hit exact. So it's almost, I put a little laughing face at the end of the dots because it is just a ridiculous amount of dots. What do we make of this? Well, we just know that the energy is going to shift after this weekend. This weekend is like kind of a last hurrah of the current energy, and then we move on as soon as next Monday. As soon as next Monday, we're going to move on to something different. The long-term sextile between Jupiter and Chiron reaches its mathematical and energetic peak. That's one of the first things that happens. That's what the three green dots at the beginning are about. And the major features of the new moon chart also come exact, such as the powerful Mars-Pluto opposition, which is the two red dots that follow the three green dots. These few days will feel like an extension of the themes of conflict or cooperation, healing, and transformation that I just talked about as being part of the mix for the November 1st new moon. This will give you an extra long window to review the new moon themes, Make decisions and set your intentions. It's a great weekend to expand, explore, and exercise. Gather, talk, and visit, or retreat and heal if that is what you need. Lots and lots of aspects heading exact to this weekend. So, but overall, it looks pretty good as long as you are not in any kind of a dangerous, like Mars, Pluto, fraught situation. Does that make sense? It's probably going to be a pretty interesting weekend. Obviously, we've got the election coming up the following Tuesday, and so there has already been some interesting shenanigans related to that, and I'm wondering if that kind of energy will continue, because that is kind of this Mars Pluto underworld. Let's go back to the early 1900s or the 1700s or whatever they're freaking talking about now. It's not cool, but it's what's happening. It's probably who's last real hurrah in any position of pretension of power anymore. At least that's what I hope. Anyways, moving on. There's 2 planets changing signs this weekend as well, so it's just a huge weekend full of shifts and changes and interesting astrology. Mercury and Mars are both entering fire signs, out of water signs, and into fire signs this weekend. So next week is going to feel a lot different than this week. We'll be more in our passions and less in our emotions, and less in other people's emotions too. Mercury entering Sagittarius will speed up, quicken the pace of communication, commerce, and physical activity. Mars also enters Leo after struggling through emotional Cancer since early September. Today, Mars enters more comfortable territory. Mars is kind of a fiery planet, so more comfortable in a fire sign. It's like, I know how to express myself here. Mars' strength and power can express more easily through the fiery, dramatic nature of Leo. Mars will stay here in Leo for 2 months and then move into Cancer again, because Mars will retrograde starting on December 6th. And then Mars will move back into Cancer, and I believe it's early January.